board member. Jefferson, board member.
Corey Holmes, board member.
Tyler Lee's board member.
Paul Sweat, superintendent.
Keith Johansson, business administrator.
Okay, so, where do we start? I guess,
Well,
do we see the achievement celebrations? Is that where we start?
we, I can figure out how to turn the phone.
I guess probably a good way to start. What's our plan here? What are we gonna talk about?
Well, we typically had an annual retreat, and I've tried to listen to kind of what the board likes and wants and be more responsive to, and the retreat process has changed quite a bit over the years, and that's me trying to be responsive to what the needs and the wishes of the board are. And so we've tried to keep things a little more simple, and we've tried to, I hear, one of the messages I get from the board is, you don't necessarily want we as staff to show up here and just dump a bunch of information on you or at you. You want time to talk and discuss, and it's a time we can come together in the summer and maybe relax a little bit and wear our Levi's and talk about a few issues. And then there should be some time at the end, hopefully a lot of time where we kind of have an open roundtable discussion, and we can not be quite so formal as we are in a lot of our meetings throughout the year. That's what the retreat is meant to accomplish. So even though you can see we don't have times on these items, and we don't really have to stick to the order, or I think it is good for our public to have an idea of what we're talking about, but we can be fairly flexible here. And if there's other items you want to bring up as we move along or at the end, we'll be happy to do this. This is just a time for us to have a lot of good open-ended discussions. We're not really discussing anything that we're going to vote on. We're not really discussing anything that we have to take action on anytime soon. It's a board retreat. I'm hoping that we can be wrapped up by 8 o'clock. That's our plan. To have you out of here at 8. And does that sound good to everyone? Do you want to do earlier, later? We shoot for 8, and if we get done early, we'll try and make it work.
Yeah, so we are back here tomorrow. We'll be meeting in tomorrow morning.
We are here tomorrow, and that's one thing, we do have to post our board agenda, so that's the first question I need to ask you is, we don't really have anything scheduled for study session tomorrow. Between the meeting on Thursday and the retreat, we thought maybe we'd had enough of that type of work, and we could forego study session tomorrow night, unless there's something specific you'd like to include in study session tomorrow.
I just had GSBS. I'm still reading through the whole report. It's a lot, but I'm starting to have questions. But should I reach out to Valerie, or is that something like, is anybody else reading it? Like, that's just me.
Is there any way, do we have a hard copy to, like?
So
I know.
we can print you hard copies.
I would love.
It'd be so much easier to go through it. I need paper to,
Okay.
so
Yeah, it doesn't need to be
All right.
color or anything. Like, I don't need it pretty. I've just been
Yeah,
going
like
on.
have it really.
I've just been doing it on my laptop and taking
It'd
notes.
just be
but
easier.
It would be easier to highlight.
We'll get those hard copies made for you and give them to you. We'll get them out to you or have them ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be fancy.
Yeah. Nothing.
So-
No colors.
We can do that. You tell me if you wanna discuss GSBS in a study session tomorrow, then
If I'm
That's
the
fine.
only one who still has questions, we can wait. I mean, it's 411 pages. I have not cut the link.
Haven't even started.
well, maybe we can put that on a
Can we
July.
put it on
meeting.
July, that we have GSBS and.
Let's do that study session for July.
Cover to cover?
I'm on my third version of it, Tyler.
Okay, so other than that, we will, if you need to slip out and post that, or post that from there, or however you're doing that, Stacy. We will not have a study session tomorrow. We will meet for dinner. We're planning to meet for dinner, and we'll do that. If you wanna, we can meet at 6, or we can meet at 5:45, if you wanna give yourselves a little more time.
Let's do 5:45.
All right, so we'll be here at 5:45.
5:45.
I'll be here at 6:15.
5:45 upstairs for dinner, and board meeting at 6:30.
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you. This first item, we've had a lot of heavy things on our minds this past year, and between COVID and Future Schools Project, and I know that as a board and as a staff, and this whole idea of us figuring out a way to provide more seats for children, it's a very, something that we feel very responsible for, and we've put a lot of work and effort into it, and it's something that weighs on us a little bit. So I'm gonna ask everybody to take a big, deep breath and decompress a little bit. I'm speaking mostly to myself. These guys will tell you that I can get wound pretty tight lately, and I'm trying to learn how to relax a little better. So all of us need to just take a deep breath, and we're gonna have a little celebration, because telling you what these guys are about to show us is the reason why we're here. And it's also a very positive end of year for our achievement results. So let's relax and enjoy this. Are you gonna put this up on the screen, or are we just gonna?
Sure.
You wanna switch around to this side,
Oh,
Tyler? And let's take our time to go through this, and if there's one thing that we want to do well tonight and enjoy, it's this next segment on end-of-level achievement.
Okay, this is exciting to look at that this stuff. You know, we have teachers, administrators, aides, and they are out there just working as diligently as they possibly can to get more kids to learn at higher levels. So if you go back to our mission, we're trying to get every student to receive all the knowledge, skills, and dispositions to achieve their personal goals. So there's some essential things that we're going after and that we track on that. And then if you go to our goals, we're trying to become the highest achieving district in the state. We don't have all the numbers to know that yet, but these will be some indications on how we're doing on that quest. We do want every one of our schools to be a model PLC school, and we want all our kids to be connected in some way to their school. So this is those first two goals will kind of highlight that a little bit. So, you know, one of the things I want you to think about is the kind of the role that everyone plays in this. And I do want you to think about the role that the board plays in these achievement results. When you make a decision, kind of our whole philosophy here is if we can get teachers to gather feedback off of student learning, get together and discuss it in a purposeful way, their knowledge will increase. And as their knowledge increases on how to get students to learn better, more students will learn. And the only way that we get more students to learn is if the knowledge base of our staff becomes higher. They become more skilled in what they do. It doesn't just automatically happen. Some change needs to take place.
So it's a very simple tenet of PLCs. If the adult learning goes up, student learning goes up. Very, very simple concept.
So within that, we're trying to get our whole system or our whole district to work together, which means we do two things. We really support every team and every school trying to become as great as they possibly can. That's the first piece of that. And our principals work their tails off of that. They go to conferences, and every time you guys approve a trust lands budget or a TSSP budget with it, that's what this is all about. When people come in, consultants come in to work with our people, that's what that's all about. The second part of that, besides just every school and every team trying to become as great as they possibly can, is kind of a second promise in there, that as soon as we learn something, let's say the third grade team at Daniels Canyon Elementary learns something and an achievement goes up, it is their responsibility to share. They have to share. because we care about all of our kids. And we feel the best way to get our teachers to learn more is from other teachers, once they discover what works. That's kind of the whole process that we're using. So when you guys, last year, again, kind of your role in this, when you approved those 3 extra days so that our teachers could go through letters training and get that knowledge base, the whole end game of that is we want achievement to go up because they know more now than they did before. Another big emphasis we had on those days was to get our teachers together as a whole district, like in the elementary with 3 through 5, grades 3 through 5, we were focused on math and trying to get them to share ideas based on the data. And we'll kind of report on that one, but you guys approved that. Then we go and try to use that resource well, but it's your approval that opens us up to do all of that work and kind of your vision for this. So the first thing we're going to share is our kindergarten reading data. You can see up there, this is a 2-year comparison. Last year, 2021, this year, 21-22. Kindergarten is the foundation of everything we build off of, and one of the things that the letters training has really done well is try to establish that. And then we've also, but you'll remember that Parker Fossen and Ray Reitzel came here and kind of talked to you about the letters won't do it by itself, they're going to need some other stuff. So we've been working that back and forth. There's been schools that have been following up with them. We've been trying to get the knowledge base that can get more kids to read. It's the foundational skill that opens up knowledge. So if you look at this right here, this is what happened this year. So last year, at the end of the year, 68% of our kids read on grade level. And this year, we increased that to 80%. Now, when you look at that, those are just numbers, but I want you to think about 14% more kids and their faces that now have the chance to go on with a foundational reading thing to first grade and try to achieve there. Okay, that's a lot of kids in our district. You're probably getting up to close to 100 additional kids that our teachers were able to reach this year. That's a significant thing. Very exciting. So one of the things that's happening with this is that is awesome.
That is awesome.
One of the things, it'll be interesting to see, and within that 80%, we have all the Harmony kids that are out there, and their numbers are significantly lower, so this is really more about around 82% of the kids in our own district that we're servicing now have that. So elementary principals, so the way this works, we got this data, we came back this last week, elementary principals met for a full day. They looked at the data. We're going to share a lot of highlights here in a couple of months. We'll be able to come back and say, and here's where we see plans to continue to improve. But this is a great highlight here. So the elementary principals have looked at this, and just so you know their goal next year is that those 82%, they're not going to drop. That will be the level we're at next year in first grade. So there'll be a heavy emphasis with Park and Ray this next year with first grade to get that to where it needs to be. Our first grade teachers know that 82% of the kids are coming to them ready to read, so don't review too much, let's move on. So we're getting all of that lined up, and we did that at the first week after school got out, we started lining that all up, and so we expect to continue that through.
So you mentioned Harmony, where, do you know where they are?
Yeah, do you have that up there at all? Brett? No. Oh yeah, there you go, from school to school, so you can see there's Wasatch Learning Academy down there. Those 58 kids, they're more down in the 40, it looks like 46%. You can hover over that Wasatch Academy right there. So you can see like Midway's really high. Daniels Canyon was super impressive, 87% this year in kindergarten. Most of our schools are up around that 80% mark, but
Wow.
so just fantastic work, and all of that is just knowledge base. That's just a super exciting celebration.
You're gonna point out Heber Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're looking
Yeah,
at
You
it.
guys-
just looking at
Yeah. So here's maybe the biggest celebration within this whole thing. So look at Heber Valley. Last year, 55%. And there's a narrative that these kids are so 82% this year of the kids. That is phenomenal.
This is just kindergarten.
This is just
This is
kindergarten. Yep, this is just
And
kindergarten.
think of the system. You know, we have to think of the K-12 system. So, as a high school principal, this became very evident to me when we started testing our incoming eighth graders. And it's crazy to know, in a school district as good as ours, back in those days, and I think we continue to move it up the ladder a little bit, but a third of our kids were coming into the high school way off their reading level. And high school is hard enough. And so where do you correct this problem? Do you correct it in eighth grade? Do you correct it in seventh grade? Obviously, as a system, that's why we want to get as many 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds on our Upstart program before they ever come to us. And if we can get the kindergartners online, and as Garrick said, it's so much easier to keep them up to speed than it is to do catch up and try and get them there. So to have this number in kindergarten and to see what's happened at Heber Valley and some of the other schools, this is a huge celebration. And it makes you kind of think, we'll probably all be gone, or at least some of us will, when this group graduates. We were able to start them out as kindergarten at over 80% proficient. Can you imagine how well they're going to do when they're this class when they're in juniors and seniors?
So
They're going to have a much better trajectory through the system.
So for Heber Valley, what would you say was
That was the thing.
Yeah.
What was the tweak?
There's
a pivotal moment?
Yeah, so you'd want to come in, but yeah, absolutely, training the knowledge base, meeting with Park and Ray, talking to other teachers because they're in the room with them, but just kind of staying really tight to the data and what the kids are supposed to learn and getting the feedback and then responding to that. One of the things we'll do off of that, now that we've identified this and the principals have talked to this, and so you'd be welcome anytime. So we meet twice a month as principals and we go over data and stuff like that, but one of our first meetings will be at Heber Valley. We'll have their kindergarten team come in and teach us. They're the experts at this point. So they'll come in, they'll teach us what they did different this year rather than last year. And so we'll keep you informed on when those meetings are, and that'll be a lot of fun to listen to the Heber Valley team. And it'll be exciting for them to be in a position of kind of authority.
Yeah.
The other kind of cool thing about that is that the 3 elementary schools with new principals, one either like stayed at about 95 or whatever %, and the other 2 made significant jumps. Sometimes a new leadership and a new kind of emphasis is good for a faculty.
So is there any way to get this all printed off?
Yeah,
We
we
can
can
just have a
jobs.
copy?
Yep.
Just honestly, as a reminder that sometimes
Yeah.
things go right.
Yeah. A lot.
Well, and this is-
This is huge.
And that,
Like,
like,
I-
that's good
No,
to
this
me.
is the
Like, I
thing.
got a
This
little
is it.
emotional,
Yeah,
because this is, when you think of the little kids
Mhm.
that are learning to read and getting excited to read, like, that's a
Absolutely.
huge job.
Yeah, it's,
That's
It's
massive.
gonna change their,
Props to our
it's gonna change their
teachers.
life from now
Yeah.
on, and it's definitely gonna change their future.
yeah, it's super exciting. And then you even look like in that yellow area, those are kids that are still within, I mean, they're not that far off. We can get those kids. And so first grade, again, the goal will be to get them there. You gotta remember though, this is a great start, but our goal is not 82%, it's 90+. And I believe we'll be able to hammer that out this next year. Just listen to the kindergarten teachers that first week after summer ended in here. And then also I do believe our first grade teachers will be able to match that, to listen to them, the changes they're gonna make, because they know most of their kids are coming on grade level instead of below, and where they feel they'll be. So we're kind of getting a program in place that just speeds from grade level to grade level. It's super exciting. You'll see when we come back, maybe a little later in time, the principals have thought through the specific ways. And again, they're still leveraging the 3 days that you guys gave them, the specific ways to leverage that tool to kind of keep this going. So it'll be fun.
But these are things I wish we could communicate.
We'll figure out how to do that better.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
This is
Gotta sell
awesome.
it, yeah.
This is just awesome.
Yeah.
Like, props to those teachers and principals.
Yeah.
To have your hard work show like this in data
Yeah.
is awesome.
And that's really where all the credit goes, is down. The school did the work. Again, they know more now than they did before. That's the only way you get those kind of.
And maybe they've changed their expectation of kids. Well, that can be a big part of it.
And obviously, they felt some urgency to do it.
That's where it starts. It starts with the expectation, and the expectation comes right from the board on down. And that's where we really want the board, and I'm hoping we definitely have to deal with building schools. That's a very important part of what you do as a board. But I hope that just as important and in front of you just as much is achievement, student achievement. We can be a student achievement board, we can work together with the board closely, have you more involved in that process and what's going on here. And from a legislative standpoint, you've helped us in every way. I can't think of a time when we haven't approached the board and said, we need this teacher here, we need to do this, or the big leadership change, or a lot of these things that we've wanted to do, that we've been supported 100% by the board. And those days were key, very key. And a lot of districts didn't do that.
All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so this one here, so Brett back there on the machine, and then CJ, our engineer, they've created something called Wasatch Intelligence. And Wasatch Intelligence has been a game changer in immediate feedback on student learning for our kids. So as kids were taking an end-level state test, or if they're taking like an intern test from the state, this updates immediately after the kid submits. We're synced into the state system, so we watch it kind of come in live, which allows us to make it, it gives us some historical data. So one of the things we wanted to kind of highlight, and again, what we did with those days, I want you to look at third grade math. So that's the far left column. And what you've got up there is the district 5-year trend. So you can see we had a pretty good trend. We dropped a little bit last year, you know, you can blame that maybe on COVID or whatever, but pretty good trend. And then I want you to go down to that rise summative 2000 in the bottom left corner where the arrow is, okay? And that purple block, that purple one. So go back up.
Put the arrow on the...
So we're at 54 last year. Go back. We're at 70 this year, 70% district-wide. So a 16% jump in the number of kids who are proficient in math last year and compared to this year. And again, those days and what we did on those days was critical in creating, giving our teachers time. All we did during those days is we set up a format and a structure for teachers to come and learn from other teachers. And we had a couple of teams that were doing well, and they shared kind of their practices, and then they started sharing in between. And they kind of created this collaboration going back. But I'm telling you, most districts and most schools will set a goal on student achievement of like a 3 to 5% increase, and if they can get it, they feel really good. And in third grade math, we clicked it at 16% this last year, 10% higher than we've ever been as a district, which is, that's just phenomenal results that our teachers were able to pull off. You can see down there, what you have after that purple line is you have our 5 different schools, so the brown, and we'll go into each of these schools just a little bit so you can see how significant this is. But that 33% is Heber Valley. Remember, they were the 15% last year. They over doubled their results. So maybe 33% isn't great, but man, they are moving in the right direction. Super exciting. But go ahead.
Okay, so remember years ago when, kind of back in 2019, when you were experiencing growing pains with the math, with the transition of math?
At the high school?
It was at the high school, right? But the
Yeah.
elementary schools weren't going through that?
No,
Oh.
no. But you will see some data. I want you to show you some data. Go on to the next one. We'll go a little bit. Now, I want you to think about how that district PLC works, where teachers come and they share with each other different things. I think you might have missed Old Mill. Okay, so here's Old Mill. Now, I want you to look at their 5-year trajectory in third grade math. So they've gone from 49 to 61 to 76. Well, that's hard for me to see.
86.
To 86, and they did go down a little bit last year, but to 92% of their kids are on level. You don't hardly ever see that in a school. So phenomenal work going on there. We'll show you how significant that is in a little bit.
92% are proficient in math.
Yeah, in third grade.
And that
Well,
did.
math has been a tough deal for us, and we're figuring it out. And I love to, you know, we're gonna highlight some of this at our opening day to start the year this fall, and we'd love to have all of you be there. And we may have some of the principals speak to it a little bit. Like, I love to listen to Stephanie Disher talk about 92%, what that means to her, and what that means to her teachers, and how they set a goal a long time ago to hit 90%. Now they've got it, and all of a sudden the teachers are looking around saying, you know, when our mission statement says all, they're starting to say all means all. We're getting where that makes me emotional. We're getting where every kid, we're gonna find a way for every kid to be proficient in math.
So here's the big thing once you kind of get this process going. And so if you look over the last 5 years, Oldham has gone from 49% to 92%. So pull that back out, Todd. 49, that's all teachers. Teachers just know how to do their job better now. It doesn't happen, this isn't by chance. They know how to do their job better. So if you look at the research on student learning, the top 2 things that affect that are, number 1, collective teacher efficacy. Do I believe in my team, and do I believe together we can get kids to
It's a
achieve?
fancy word for high expectations for my kids.
Yeah, and that is number 2, the high expectations. Do I believe my kids can learn, and do I ask them to learn at high levels? So significant stuff. If you ask Steph Disher, that has a lot to do with her 2nd grade team and what the 2nd grade is bringing to the 3rd grade. So that's one of the things we're looking at district-wide is 2nd grade a little bit right now, how to tighten that up a little bit, but phenomenal results. Go over to Midway now. Midway, so the first one, Todd, you're going the wrong direction. There you go. Okay, you can see Midway 3rd grade was on a little bit of a decline there. And one of the things that happened here on the district PLC when we got together, if you talk to Jenny, is that 3rd grade team reached out to Old Mill and J.R. Smith, because you'll see J.R. Smith is really good, especially for a Title I school, they're really good. But they reached out, they learned a little bit, and you can see they went from 63, does that say?
Yeah.
To 81. So again, an 18% jump there, way higher than they've ever been. Super exciting celebration. Go to JR now. That's JR. So JR is a Title I school, and you don't see this kind of data out of a Title I school very often, but you can see where 5 years ago they were at 42, and they've just been on a constant trajectory. That is such a good 3rd grade team over there. And they're so on point. And I honestly thought they were capped out. I didn't know if they could get much higher than 68 last year, but if you can go over to the purple line, they hit 73 this year. Again, phenomenal result for JR. And JR and Old Mill, the two probably those two have created a pretty tight relationship through this, and they're talking back and forth quite a bit now.
Is this the 4th grade math?
No, it's still 3rd.
All right.
Go on to the next one. So here's some areas that you look at. Daniels Canyon did not experience that kind of growth, so we'll do some work this next year. This will show you how we're going to work as a team to continue to get people together. And then so you can see they're fairly flat in their results. As far as the 3rd grade team, we did have a couple of teachers. Their DLI team really performed well. And then we already showed you, go to Heber Valley just so we can celebrate that
Well,
one more
at
time.
DCE, correct me if I'm wrong, we had a lot of turnover, I feel like. Didn't they have I felt like there was a lot of change going
I
on?
can't remember that for sure.
Okay.
But look at that, Heber Valley's been down a little bit, and they were able to jump up to that 33%, so it's super exciting.
So doubled their percentage.
Over double percentage, yeah.
That's substantial.
Phenomenal work. So everything, that's just one huge celebration. I am so happy for that group of 3rd grade students that is going to move through our system now when it comes to math. And again, all of this work starts in those days you've given us, the collaboration time, the work they're putting in over the summer. This is just hard work that teachers have put in to learn. So again, super exciting. 4th grade, let's go to 4th grade. Again, we can pick out a lot of highlights here.
See, before you go to something.
Yeah.
What, just collectively, and I know I missed this, where are we on the 3rd grade reading level? for these schools.
Sure.
We just looked at math.
Yeah, we look, and kindergarten reading school.
Kindergarten.
So we're gonna bring that back in a couple of months.
So we looked at who's at level for math in the third grade by school.
Yeah.
Did I already miss who's at level by school for reading?
We didn't do that.
Because-
Kindergarten, we
Okay,
did.
because you're aware, if you're not level by third grade, you're going to prison.
That's what I've heard.
These kids,
Yeah.
all hell bent.
Chances go up.
Chances go up.
Yeah,
So I really like to dial in on that third.
yeah, yeah, agreed.
So can we get to that sometime today?
Brett will pull that up,
Okay.
yep.
It's a
It's
fact.
It's true, it's true that, I mean, they've told us this for years, that there's prison planning done on achievement scores of third graders, and specifically reading.
Yep.
We're not waiting around for third grade. We're saying.
So that's what Garrett's saying.
We wanna have it done, I mean, we just had a big, before you came in, a big celebration about kindergarten.
Okay.
In
So
Heber
we're,
Valley Elementary went from, what was the,
55 to 82.
55 to 82 in 1 year, changed their percentage.
on level.
On level for kindergarten.
Oh, that's great.
Now, those kids, are they gonna be on level in third grade? You bet they are, because the number one promise, the number one commitment that first grade teacher makes is that every kid I receive on level stays on us. That's my first commitment. Then we go to their next commitments after that.
I
So
see what
we're happy.
about kindergarten is.
So we agree with the date on third, but we're not waiting around for
We're not
third.
waiting, we're not waiting for it to be too late. Okay.
All right, let's go fourth. This is another good celebration. One of the teams at the end of last year's data, fourth grade JR.
Next one.
Okay, so let's look at fourth grade. This is whole district first. Well, we'll just do JR. So again, our whole district went up 9% here, which is unheard of. It doesn't seem great after we look at that 15% jump in third grade, but 9% is significant increase. And this is J.R. Smith. I'd say at the end of last year, J.R. Smith was one of our worry areas. So now don't look at the left column, look at the middle column. That's J.R.'s fourth grade. And you can see they had a little bit of a jump in 2019 last year, or no, that would have been 2020, because we didn't test in 2019. So, but they went down a little bit last year, and so we were concerned about that. So there's a big effort to come in. And one of the things that happened there is one of Old Mills teachers came over to that fourth grade team, brought a knowledge base and kind of a way of doing things. And you can see they went from 45 to 73,
4.2.
74?
74.2.
Or no, it's, sorry, it's 67.
Oh, if I'm looking.
So 67, the brown one. Go down, no. Todd, you gotta go down. Right there. 67, that's their fourth grade. So they went up 22 percentage points from last year. And again, not that the kids got any different. Their knowledge base just got different. They're way higher than they've ever been before. And they're just doing some great work. So that's super. So when you see a school go up 22 percentage points, that's how you end up with a 9% increase.
So this is J.R. Smith,
This is J.R. Smith.
third grade to fourth grade.
Yep. And so what?
Okay, I've been dying to hand these
Yeah,
out.
Paul's gonna hand this out, because we're talking
Like we
numbers.
get-
What was the reason for the little?
A loss of focus in the process that we go to.
So, we're not putting these out for public consumption, but I want to kind of make a point here. We actually went through and pulled out some pictures of the students that were not on level in third grade and that are on level in fourth grade. And so, I don't know if that has the same effect on you as it does me, but to look at those little faces and know that when we talk about test scores in this district, we're not talking about, oh, we want the best test score, we want to beat Park City, we want to beat Cache. We're talking about these kids right here. That's what we're talking about. The scores that we always deal in, especially year end and board level policy level stuff is numbers of kids above the bar. These kids being on level in 4th grade from 3rd grade, does that mean something to them? It means their life's gonna be very much different than if they drug along below the bar. So I hope that we never lose sight of that. We do make a big deal out of that in this district. And we do because it's what we're about. It's who we are. It's why we're here. It's why we build buildings and send kids in there, so that we can prepare them to have every opportunity that every other kid does. It's the public education, the great equalizer. Why do you have more opportunity in America than any other country? Because you can walk into a free public education institution and you can get an education. You can learn how to read and do math. And then it opens up the whole world of opportunity for you, and that's what we get to do here. It's pretty humbling. And it's also pretty awesome. And we get mired down in lots of gobbledygook. And you know what it's all about? It's about looking at the faces of those kids right there. That's what it's about.
Yeah, you look down and I just looked into kind of the eyes of those kids, and kids just all look innocent and kind. They all have the world at their feet. They haven't been beat down maybe quite yet by things. And maybe those kids won't be, because of the work that a team of teachers over at J.R. Smith, with the help of others. These guys reached out quite a bit to Old Mill and others to learn, because that's the system we have set up. Teachers learn from other teachers. We don't need to always bring in PD. We need teachers to learn from other teachers.
Well, it's confidence. You're
That's
giving
right.
these kids confidence.
Yeah. And that's
Hard thing to get.
a game changer. So, I love, one of my favorite things to do with a faculty is like put on a slideshow. So the system, this Wasatch Intelligence System, this just pulls up as part of it. So we can see, if we click on a thing, we can just see the faces of kids. And so, again, I love the system that Brett and CJ built. This is allowing us to work differently with numbers, so that it's about kids and people. Because that's really, in every one of those percentages, is a kid whose life still has possibilities. And that's just incredibly empowering as an educator. That's why we do what we do.
And I will always stand on the fact that every kid wants to be smart. And if they tell you they don't, they're covering something up. They're hiding something, or they're hiding a problem or something that they don't have that confidence that Tyler's talking about. Every child that comes to our school district, they want to be smart. They want to know math. They want to be able to read. And for us to give them those gifts, and I say this all the time, the greatest gift we can give our students is high achievement. Teach them to read, teach them how to do math, and we're going to change their life. Literally change their life. And man, we got it going right now. We got it headed very strong in the right direction.
Yeah, the third thing, so I told you the first two things that research says affect student achievement more than collective efficacy. Does the team believe in the other team members and they'll work together to solve problems? Does the teacher believe the student's capable, high expectation? And then the third one is what they call a student expectation of achievement. Does the kid believe in themselves? It's all things besides our instruction that affects learning more than anything else. But it's all confidence. Do I believe in my team? Do I believe in myself? Do I believe in the kid? And does the kid believe in themselves? We get those three things clicking, effort goes up on all fronts, and student achievement will go up. And that's really what we're going through in this PLC process about
I've ever seen steps kids do their student-led SEOPs and SEPs. That's pretty cool. And in fact, it almost reminds me of little miniature CAP students when they have their little speech ready and they tell you why and what, and you talk about confidence.
And what these teachers believe in the kids won't believe in the kids.
Absolutely.
So it has to start with the teachers, because some of them don't even get it at home.
That's right.
Well, one of the worst things that I watch is I go moving to different schools in different districts is, to me, one of the greatest catastrophes is when students don't believe in their kids, they never can give them the opportunity to learn on grade level. Oh, these poor babies need this. Well, that just guarantees the next generation of poverty. That's all it does.
They
No,
can't do this
these-
because of who they
These
are.
poor babies need
Yeah.
this, and we'll support them there like crazy. But they are gonna get this because the kids across town are getting that, and these kids need the same thing. And that's what we're starting to see cooking in Wasatch County right now, and we'll see more of it, so it's
And
exciting.
that's one of the things that these guys preach, that we all preach, is exposure to grade level curriculum. And it's not okay for a teacher to deprive a child of exposure to their grade level curriculum. All these years, we were so wrong in education about pulling kids out of class to catch them up. Because what did you do when you pull them out of class? You just pulled them away from their grade level curriculum. And then caught them up on their year behind curriculum, and now they're 2 years behind them. It was just a vicious cycle. And we don't do that anymore. Our tiered system, tier 1, 2, and 3, we have a hard and fast rule. You never take a kid out of their grade level curriculum. You find other times, and we've built other times in the system to do it.
So again, this is super exciting, but again, the exciting part is the knowledge of the teachers that exists now. It's still there. It will not go away. That knowledge exists at this point, so that's exciting. All right, go to 5th grade real quick. We did do a language arts example on this one. Probably just go to Old Mill on this one. You know, one of the things, one of the big things with the PLC work that we do is we have clear goals, and we're trying to support teachers on achieving their goals. If you look at this 5th grade at Old Mill, you can see in language arts, they've had some significant jumps. That's that middle group.
Oh, language arts.
Language arts, Old Mill.
Yep. So they've gone up again. You can see the significant increases over at Old Mill in language arts to 67. You can see this year, they bumped it up to
Let's see, before.
81%. Right there, that red line, that's 5th grade. So again, that's significant. If you look where they were, go back up just a few years ago. Clear over to the other side, Todd. So they were down 65, 56, now they're at 81. Kids at Old Mill haven't changed that much, but the teachers have. And they will, the exciting part is when you talk to Steph Disher around our meeting last week, or was that it's Monday. So it was last week when they got together and they were talking their way through this, and they came in and they went through a protocol, and they had all the data that they were looking at, and they had questions on each set, like, you know, what's a celebration, what am I curious about, who do I want to learn from? Those were kind of 3 questions, and what would the next goal be? So for each data set, we were taking them through this, and everyone was like, Old Mill, how in the world did you make that jump? Because that's some significant work. And she went right back to some specific things that she said that team can tell you exactly what they did differently. It has to do with reading and writing in a very specific way. And kind of the question is, okay, now I'm curious, can we replicate that? And can we get that knowledge to other people? Absolutely. These are not hard practices. It's just knowing how to do them. So that's when you get excited, because we do have a breakout there, some knowledge that's come into our district. Now, we haven't done all the things to expose everyone to that knowledge yet, but we will. And that gets really exciting, because teachers will discover things. I believe wholeheartedly in the capacity of our teachers. That's why I'm not a very strong believer of bringing outside PD on like language arts. They'll figure it out. And when they do, it's our job to then create avenues for them to share with the other teachers what they're doing. And that's what's exciting about all of this. Midway is a celebration as well. Midway, they've been going after a goal for a long time. That's a phenomenal team, and they finally had a big jump this last year as well. So let's go up into our middle school. So that's the elementary side of things. Really excited. Oh no, let's do. I did want to show you guys, because we don't just look at data internally. We always like to see how we're comparing to others, and we can't get the full wide approach at this point. But we took last year's results a little bit, and we always look at the 20 schools most like them in state. So we don't want to compare Heber Valley to Old Mill. We want Old Mill to be compared to the 20 other schools in the state just like them. And so this is their math scores from this last year. So we've got their school-wide, so this is school-wide scores. We can't break this down subject to, or like to third grade math, fourth grade math, fifth grade math, or anything like that. But these are the 20 schools most like them. Did we get lost there?
You can type in.
Might have to put a space there.
There you go.
So here they were last year. So some schools might have gone up. That top school is actually a gifted school down in the Canyons district. So that's the type of school that Old Mills can kind of compete against. So they went from 79 to 82 this year overall. Excellent job. And then you can see they have way outdistanced the next closest school to them. That's how well they're doing right now. So Old Mill isn't just good because they've got Old Mill's kids. Old Mill is incredible because they're achieving what they are with Old Mill's kids. The next highest to them is that Canyon View. Again, you're dealing with a gifted group that they're barely below. And then Canyon View School, which is 11, would be 11 percentage points down. Now that's a fall thing. So Old Mill's doing a phenomenal job. Head over to Midway, we'll look at them real quick. Okay, here's Midway last year. You can see they were fifth. Old Mill actually sits in the 20 schools most like them, but that Sunrise School doesn't. So Old Mill and Midway are very close to the same demographic. So you can see Old Mill was 79. This year Old Mill is 82. And Midway this year was able to jump up to 75. So you can see they will be number 2 in the 20 schools most like them, just after Old Mill. So we've kind of got the best in the state going on right now with that group, which is really exciting. Okay, move over to J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith had a good jump too. As a school-wide right now, they're at 58. So they went up 7 percentage points. Again, that's significant, 7 percentage points district-wide. You don't see that very much. So they're jumping in. They have a big desire to pass McPullen and Park City. That's the one school that is above them in there. But again, with the 20 schools most like them, they're phenomenal with what they're doing. Go over to Daniels Canyon. So this is Daniels Canyon, right? So Daniels Canyon, you can see last year, this is a school that hasn't been as tight as we need to on the processes that really get learning to go up in a big way. You can see they were down kind of in the bottom 5 there, the top of the bottom 5 with quite a significant jump to go through to move up. And they were able to jump from 45 to 52. So you can see every trajectory is going significantly up in our district. What happened? There. No, this is Heber Valley. Okay, so anyway, that 52 is just stay at Heber Valley, Todd. So that 52 is going to move Daniels Canyon up to more the middle of the pack. So good jump for them a lot. And here's, to me, maybe the biggest celebration. You can see last year we looked at this data. Heber Valley was on the bottom of the rung, 18% school-wide. And you can see kind of the other schools like them, and we know we still have some significant improvements to make over there, but they were able to jump to 32%, which is going to jump them up to that, up 5 or so. They're not at the bottom anymore. Everything's heading in the right trajectory right now. So there's just not a lot of weak data. We know where they are, and when we come in and we talk our improvement plan here with you guys in a couple of months, we'll show you down to teams where we need to work on some things. We flushed that all out as administrators and how we're going to do that, what our plan is. But you can see everything is just running positive on that front right now. So super exciting. I think we need to give our elementary teachers that might be listening out there and principals a round of applause. All right, we're going to jump into middle school real quick, kind of show you some things there. And again, this is to hit on the highlights. As we've looked at our middle school data over the last few years, we're not at the top and we're not at the bottom. We're right in the middle of what we want to do is kind of that idea of moving from good to great, which takes work. We all know that. We've ever read that book, and it's getting some details down. So we're going to look at sixth grade math first. Now remember kind of our philosophy. If we can get one team to learn something, and then we can expose their learning to everybody else, we win. That's how we develop. And so you sit there and you work and work and work trying to get a team to jump, and then you help others see what they did. So sixth grade math has probably been a low spot for our district for a while. In fact, if you look statewide, sixth grade math is a difficult thing. There's some teams, but the difference between fifth grade math and sixth grade math scores statewide is usually not real strong. So you can see there's our sixth grade math on a 5. We've been heading downhill a little bit right there, from 43, 39, 34, 34, 32. And this is at TMS, this last, or you can see the district, we were able to get to 39. This last year, again, 7% is a significant jump. I want you to look at TMS. They're 45. I believe was a 13% jump. So that's where we made our gain, not so much at Rocky Mountain, but at TMS. So they learned something. Now it's our job to try to get that exposed to over at Rocky Mountain. And we've met with the middle school principals. That will be some of the work that we do this year. We've kind of set out our plan. Middle school principals have gone through math. They have not gone through language arts and science yet. They're doing that tomorrow morning, or tomorrow probably most of the day. So again, we've got some learning and some celebrations going on there. What's this here, Todd? Oh, there's TMS. So 45, go up a little bit to TMS. So they've been 32, go over to the left, sixth grade. 32, 37, 32, jump to 45. Those teachers learned how to do something this year. We will have a chance to go over, sit down with them and learn what exactly they did. We do know some things from listening to the principal, but we want to listen to the teachers. We want them to explain to us so we know what they did. That they feel made the difference. Go into your next one. Again, right now in the middle school, I'd say we're just looking for outliers. We're not clicking as well as we are in the elementary with the district-wide thing. We're probably about, I'd say, 1 year behind in learning. Right now, we're looking for people to jump, and then we'll have the system work its way through that. So this here is language arts. I want you to look at 8th grade language arts. So you can see we were going up pretty good, and then we did have a drop this last year. I think you saw that. So we were at 49%. If you go over to this year, this is district-wide. We were able to jump that to 58%. So again, almost a 10% jump again, which is unbelievably significant. We'll kind of skip over, but Rocky Mountain, they did some things. They went to a conference, a PLC conference, kind of in the middle of the year, kind of came back on fire. But one of the things that they did is we've been reading some research on reading comprehension, how to get reading comprehension to take place, or to increase, because that's really one of the main skills you want your kids coming out of an education, the ability to read and comprehend text. So we read some research that the ACT did a study on how to get the ACT score to go up. And it was a big study commissioned by ACT itself. And they thought they had their ACT standards and different things like that. They thought it would be some of those things. And through their study, the study that we read together, there's only one thing that they found has a significant impact on the overall ACT score, and that's the ability of the kid to read and comprehend complex text. Not simple text, complex text. They have to see text they've never seen before, be able to wade their way through it and answer questions on it, or to digest their way through it. That's the skill. That's the big mover on ACT. So we read that, and then we read, okay, then what does research say on how do you get comprehension to increase? And we read a couple of studies, and kind of the thing that came out of that is if you put kids on text, not grade level text, because grade level text it's not complex, but you want to find text that's 2 grade levels above, teach them comprehension strategies so they have to work their way through it, and that's how you increase. They tried some of this at the end, and they jumped from 44 up to 60. Almost 60%. So again, very, very significant jumps there. But Another area where we saw this same thing happen, a huge celebration at the high school this last year, was with our ELL kids. So we went from 6 passing, jumping through the WIDA benchmark, which was one of the highest in the state, to 23, unheard of in the state.
So 6 was highest in the state.
Their teachers caught on to this research and they forced their ELL kids to 2 grade levels above with strategy. So again, we think we're learning some things there on how to move the needle that then we can have teachers learn from other teachers. Now I want you to think about the significance with the ELL kids with that and how life-changing that is. The work that's being done over that high school with our ELL kids is just, it's life-changing, literally life-changing for those kids. And it starts with the expectation that those teachers have that even though you don't know our language, you will jump into text 2 grade levels above and I'm gonna teach you how to do it. That confidence of the kids and that the teacher has in the kids, and now the kids get confident, they'll be able to go out in the regular classroom and digest through some of that stuff. So super exciting stuff on that front, things that are being learned out there right now.
So on the language arts score, is there a way to specifically dial into that comprehension strategy you
Yeah.
just described?
So with that score, if you look at that, if you talk to the teachers, that test is a reading comprehension test.
That test in itself.
So all you're getting is reading passages and you have to answer questions on them.
So that score is that.
Yeah, that's pretty much who reads on what they would say would be a college-ready level for that grade level.
And so this is
That right there
middle
is,
school. This
yes,
is middle
so
school.
that's 6th, 7th, 8th district-wide. We've got good jumps going on.
And the
there
bench,
right now.
and the benchmark is college entry level for
They
school?
assume for the kids that are passing that end-of-level test, they consider college-ready for that level, just for that level. That's
And then-
what RISE is supposed to, the RISE test is supposed to mirror that for just that grade level. Now they have to keep it up for the next grade level.
And so when we were in San Diego for the national board meeting, a couple of schools, they were big on Lexile. How does the Lexile score fall into any of this? Or have we decided that comprehension is more important? Or is the Lexile positive?
The Lexile helps us know well, different assessments have different purposes.
Like these kids knew that Lexile scored.
Yeah.
You asked them and they said it was,
Yeah.
whatever.
So Lexile, we use more as a screener to know which kids are coming in significantly low so that we can give them extra support. That's how we
Okay,
use
so does
Lexile.
does everybody have a Lexile score in high school?
In middle school.
In middle school.
Not in high school.
Okay.
So it's a screening, we use it as a
We
screening
more, we use
tool.
it more as a screening
As a
tool.
screening tool for middle, for our middle school.
The school, the district we were in, it's something we can talk about, and, you know, we do those visits for a reason, and we had some really good visits down there. So just for staff to know it was kind of a school to career program that they had, I can't remember the name of it, you remember the name of it? But they had a program that really helped kids tie,
Ricey, something like that.
yeah. And the kids actually would tie them into a career choice very early. And it was not limiting, it was more like, you know, they got to choose and kind of just opened their eyes to what was available to them. And then they would actually, you know, when they would give the little presentations, they would say, I need to be reading at this Lexile score to get into college and be able to do this level of work, or if I'm gonna be this, if this is my career goal, I have to be reading at this Lexile. And I think they were doing a pretty good job with it, it was pretty
So
powerful.
we would say we probably use this more than Lexile to determine that.
One thing we were doing at the high school through NWA testing, and we had longitudinal tests that told us over the last 5 years, based on student Lexile scores produced by the NWA, we were able to identify students that were multiple grade levels behind in reading. And that's where our literacy classes came from. And then we were trying to do the same thing with numeracy. And so if students were multiple grade levels off, there was an intervention program set up to help.
Yeah. So that's where we use it more as a screener.
Got it.
Okay, we're gonna show you one last piece of data. This is from TMS. Again, you're trying to get people to jump out a little bit. So if you can go into the science data top. Yeah, so right here. So here's TMS, and I want you to look, you can see, like, we have areas in science where we've had a pretty good trajectory. You can see in 4th grade, there's been a decent trajectory there, but I do want you to go over to our middle school science, and we're gonna specifically look at, you can see it's kind of been flat to even on a downward trajectory there. It's been a concern area of ours. So go over to TMS. So here's TMS, and you can kind of see they've been caught in this a little bit too, kind of flat, a little up and down, maybe even a little downward over the 3 years that they've existed. And then this year, if you go down, you don't leave that one, Tyler, so I gotta see that. So you can see we've gone from, in 6th grade, from 49 to 57. That's a huge jump. In 7th grade, what is that, does that say 49 again?
As well, yeah.
To 58. And from 50 to 55. So again, we do know, and through some conversations, we understand a couple of the things that they did to finally push that in a positive trajectory. So again, one of the first times this year, we'll go over and we'll listen to the TMS team. What do they feel? Tell us how you're getting the results you are. What are you doing differently? Because you did something differently. Because that after being flat for a lot of years, you were able to jump pretty well the number of kids that are competent in each of those areas. So again, this is our secondary that we did. We don't have all the data in from high school. Data comes in more towards the end of July, right, Brett?
June 30th.
Yeah, June 30th. So we don't have that yet. So the wheat is what we're celebrating in the high school right now. But you can see just a lot of great things going on out there right now. Our teachers are doing a phenomenal job, working hard. Principals are working hard. Our staffs are supporting all of that. I think they just, again, deserve a round of applause for us for getting learning to move in positive directions. So we've got room for improvement. We'll bring that improvement plan back to you as
I was
well.
just sitting here, like, you don't usually see jumps like this in public education.
No, you don't.
Maybe you do in the business world, but you don't see this. These are real kids with real, completely different backgrounds, things going on in life. You don't usually see these. This is, our teachers
It's
are
unbelievable.
freaking killing it.
They are.
And you guys, thank you for supporting them and helping them out. Like, this is crazy.
And this is
That's
after-
good.
And this is after we maintained our levels through COVID.
Right.
We were
Yeah.
a rare school district that maintained our levels through COVID and saw this jump the next year back. It's really incredible.
And
Like
you shuffled your leadership team from principal standpoint. Every one of these schools pretty much have a new set of
Like,
leaders.
this is,
part of it.
like, do we
Yeah,
ever
we
see
believe
this
that's part
anywhere?
of the solution.
No, you'll see this in isolated. Again, I get to go around the country and work
Yeah,
with
that's-
this stuff.
like, I know
And
what
you
you-
will see schools jump like this. You won't see districts jump like this. I've never seen a
A
district
district as a whole.
that's been able to, as a whole, jump like this.
And with
Yeah.
So it's
COVID,
pretty
like,
amazing.
how has it been for the rest of
I
the
was just gonna say, what is
districts
it,
across
what's
the
everybody else
nation?
done?
Yeah.
You see it written in
Not like
newspapers
this.
all the time.
You guys, we survived COVID and we all did it. So I'm.
So this
so
fall, as we get back into school, we're gonna highlight some of this stuff on our opening day back. And then we wanna visit,
Jared, thank you.
we wanna visit each school and celebrate with them. And we would love to have board members be a part of
Signs
that.
up.
And we can even, make sure if we can prepare a little bit ahead of time and you can say some things you wanna say. And we definitely want you to be very hands-on with student achievement. And we're gonna keep this headed in the right direction. Garrick and his team with I mean, really, there's a lot of crossover here, but Garrick leads the teaching and learning team, and Eric and Todd are a big part of that, and obviously Claire with her special education piece, and you know, even Jason with the things that he's over, I mean, it's all hands on deck, and we even get help from Sean out of HR and operations.
Well, he
You know,
starts it out.
One-way street.
You
Well,
look
he's-
at,
I mean, he starts it out with everybody wants to be a winner
One-way
presentation.
street.
and it's true, everybody that works in this building has extensive experience with teaching and learning. But if you look at what these guys do, and they have a very intense schedule. They're not sitting in their offices. They meet with principals all the time. They know how every team in the district's doing, pretty much at all times. And this new system, I love the name of it, Wasatch Intelligence. They know what's going on. They know what's going on in our district, and they have the knowledge to fix it. We know that we kind of stumbled on to, you know, we've had a handful of teachers here and there that maybe don't buy into it, and we're changing that, we're working to change that. It's no secret anymore what leads to high achievement. Just ask these guys, they know. We have the knowledge right here in our district. So I want to give a big round of applause to staff and Garrett.
So Wasatch Intelligence, is that something, like the ask that I had about third grade reading level per school, is that something that's pretty quick to pull up? Or is it, I mean, we don't need to do it now, you guys can send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's.
Like, how user-friendly is this tool?
Oh, unbelievably user-friendly. It's like, our principals are using this all the time now. We'll take it down into the teacher. We're probably using it more than our teachers, so we wanted to make sure when you take technology out, if it isn't refined a little bit, teachers use it and they're like, I'm never using that again if it's clunky.
Yeah.
So we made sure that we ran a lot of tests on this throughout the year. This is Brett and CJ, the engineer upstairs. It's phenomenal. I mean, he's created this thing. Those two have.
And so can you drill it down to a teacher?
Uh-huh.
Can you drill it down to
In Wasatch Intelligence, is it that?
Not yet.
Not yet. That's our next step.
Okay, but over time, you could drill it down to a teacher and to a student?
Yeah.
And right now, it's at the school level.
Yeah. Team, we can get it to the team.
It's at the team level. That's pretty
And
powerful.
it feeds it in live time within, that is.
As soon as a kid
Brett,
finishes their
this is
test, those
amazing.
update.
Thank you.
I think this is amazing. I like this
I'm not sure all
So
the
from
teachers are gonna like it to be drilled down to teacher level.
Well,
No, but
this
you can
is
identify,
just
so from
No,
a,
the intelligence pulls up.
blowing my mind.
so from a, like a parent-teacher conference. So right now, you have the RISE scores, you have the DIBEL scores, you have their grades. How does this, in the future, how would this change one-on-one communication with a teacher and a parent, a student? Would it, or is this a different tool?
No, you can pull out of it. I'm a big proponent. Where I was the principal, we did this, and I think there's research behind this as well. But you know, and I know all of our principals are looking at this. But what if you can get to the point where kids understand what you saw, like over at Old Mill, when I go to my kids' parent-teacher conference, she'll take me through her scores on this. She'll take me through her formative assessment scores, the test that teachers are given. She'll say where she is on a 1, 2, 3, 4 rubric. She'll talk me through that, and then she'll have a goal set based off of all of that. And then when I come back the next time, she reports on that goal, takes me back through what she's seen and what she's, and then she'll take her to the next goal. So that's this, that's the skill set we want out of our kids, is the ability to self-reflect, set a goal, put a process in place with support from the teacher to achieve that goal, but it's her goal. So this will help with that, especially as we keep barreling down. But a lot of that is running off those formative assessments that are happening in the classroom, which will probably have a level of that in place within this system once we get it fully built out. But we're probably at least a year away from that, I would say.
So, and I'm just thinking of my kids. It seems like that example that you just set up is lost somewhere in middle school. Like I can specifically remember without a doubt having those conversations at elementary school level with all my kids.
Yeah.
But my two that are now, one's going into high school, one's in high school, I don't recall having those conversations at the middle school level. Now, is that a miss on my part as a parent, or is it not set up that way for the
No, that's
parent-teacher
probably,
conferences?
that's a place we can definitely improve.
Because I'm not really sure what a parent-teacher conference looks like for a middle school kid.
We were, I was a middle level principal, we were in the same parent-teacher conference idea. I can kind of tell you what that looks like. So, it had two different components to it. It's nuanced a little bit how you do it. First, we gotta get the data coming out. Without the
Okay.
data coming out clean, then
There's third grade reading.
Third grade reading, all right, who we gotta save between now and fourth grade, so they're not.
There's some snacks back here, cookies, there's a vegetable tray, there's some apples.
So again, look up here, this is the two-year comparison, and what we look for is
Okay, 2
positive,
years.
positive results. So third grade at Daniels Canyon went up quite significantly, you can see that.
You're adding the blue and the green together.
Yeah, you basically moved the red to the,
That
wow,
was huge.
that is a big move.
Heber Valley, we lost a little bit. So again, that's a team that will go in. I have to say, and we've talked through the plans on this, one of the exciting things is, I want you to look at J.R. Smith, which has the exact same demographic basically as Heber Valley, and see how J.R. Smith is moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
One of the main teachers from J.R. Smith is heading over to Heber Valley this next year and is gonna be able to lead that team. Super exciting.
It's good. It's
And
good for the
then,
board to understand, and that's why we need to have the ability to do some transfers, and we're gonna try and do them so that people are on board and wanna do them, but if you can move one really effective team member, you can change a whole team. Because they can go in, and we've seen this happen over and over again, where you take this very high-functioning team at one school, you pull one team member off it, put it on a team that needs a shot in the arm, and they'll raise the whole team's performance.
So where am I looking,
if you look right now, every team is headed in a positive direction
Right.
except for Heber Valley.
Heber Valley? So let's look at the
We're
Heber
feeling
Valley.
really good about that team next year, like, really good.
So the Heber, if you drill into Heber Valley on the third grade reading level,
So this is now going into Wasatch Intelligence.
yeah,
One of the things we look for on Wasatch Intelligence, and we'll get you access to all of this, but in that middle one of the things that we know, that right there, so it's called the 80% goal.
okay.
So we wanna make sure if we are teaching tier 1, first instruction well, we believe we should be able to get at least 80% of our kids who are not special ed, ELL, not low income, or what we call our non-impacted population, we should be able to get 80% of them well there. If not, our tier 1 needs improvement, and that's where we'll focus. So you can see kind of in there, we got some improvement to make in exactly what we're going after, because we're not up to that line right there. So again, that updates automatically for us in Wasatch Intelligence, how we're doing with that group of kids. That over there is a reading row, which that'll take a while to explain, so we won't get into that. But see, you can break down to there. Now, how far down can you go at this point, right?
I can get the kids.
So click that.
Or you can go to kids.
Yeah, go to the red one, or, yeah. This is,
That's this,
yeah, we better be careful
Yeah.
on this with, we're broadcasting.
Broadcast.
So let's get that up. You can see though how we just jump down and eventually we get right to kids. So we better get off of that quick.
It's not being broadcast.
Okay.
Oh, it's not.
Okay. But that's what Wasatch Intelligence allows us to get to stuff really fast.
oh yeah, that's a powerful tool.
We used to say, when we first started down this PLC road, we would compare
Thank you, thank you.
we would compare what we were doing in the past to having a basketball game without a scoreboard. And we're out there just playing, you know, oh, everybody's doing great, we're just playing. But to have a scoreboard, and a real-time scoreboard, we play a lot differently. We know what the score is, we know if we're up, if we're down, how many kids are there, how many are not. So having a real-time scoreboard makes a huge difference on achievement.
Any other questions on the data front?
Let's just take another couple of minutes, a little break here, and dinner's coming fairly soon. If you need to go to the restroom, or there's some treats in the back of the room, some healthy treats, or some not so healthy treats. we need to talk about on
Well, I think it's set up that we're gonna talk about it in board meeting in
Yeah.
November. If there's
Same
not a
thing.
study session,
And that's on board docs, right?
we feel like there's
Yeah.
been enough conversation leading up to tomorrow, which I think there has.
that. Yeah, that's been a long.
That if you have additional questions, you can ask tomorrow during the board meeting. And if you feel like you need more time, then voice it during the board meeting, and you can decide to table it or move on.
We may have time for one more item before dinner, when you're
Evaluations.
done with LBA.
What are the evaluations?
So evaluations, we've been working on more of a comprehensive formal evaluation plan to evaluate our administrators. And we wanted to have some discussion about that with you tonight. But Garrett's gonna walk us through it. Does everybody have this stapled packet in front of them?
So this will help you understand a little bit better, kind of the administrative evaluations that we're putting in place. So I'll just kind of read down through this first page and I'll show you a couple of things. But, Wasatch County School District will evaluate all administrators on a 3-year cycle, so this is our process, so.
Does that fit in the code?
Yep, it's in the
3
code,
years?
yep. The cycle will include feedback from stakeholders, a formal evaluation from the immediate supervisor, and feedback on leading learning. So the following's gonna describe the 3-year process. So year 1, there's gonna be 2 surveys that are gonna be given to the stakeholders. This year we sent 1. We surveyed the staff. We got that feedback. We're going over that with our administrators right now and what the staff is saying about, and you'll see what that instrument is. And parents, we wanna survey parents. Parents, not that everyone has a good beat on the principal, but has a good feel for the school. And you'll kind of see in those survey questions the difference between the 2 surveys. Surveys are intended to give feedback on the perceptions of administration and how the school is operating. Surveys will be sent out, feedback collected and reviewed with the administrators, and the administrators will be asked to set a goal for improvement based on the feedback. So if you turn over, the first one, this is the survey that we'll give each year to the staff. You can kind of see, so today's date, what's the position of the person, and then it goes into questions. It's just a 10 question, and one of it's open-ended, so if some staff member has something they really want to kind of express, or a concern, or a positive, they can put that in there. And then the principal will see each of these, and we'll just, as supervisors, and then Paul with us as directors, so that everyone's getting a little chance of the feedback. So principals, administrators will be able to fill this out on a group of directors.
Is it all anonymous?
It's all anonymous. Yeah, it'll all be done anonymous. Again, we've already done this. We've pulled survey data in from all our staff on our building level administrators at this point, and we're setting up the process to go over that with them right now. So year 2, a formal evaluation will take place. So this is more of what you'd say is a traditional formal evaluation. Evaluation will be done by immediate supervisors. The evaluation and feedback will include the following areas: visionary leadership, teaching and learning, management, community collaboration, ethical leadership, system leadership, and equity and cultural responsiveness. So you can, if you turn over, I forgot to show you, the parent survey is also in there, so you can see, if you turn over a page, you'll see the parent survey. It says Dear Parents at this top. This is the kind of stuff. So again, kind of more general questions on their feel for the school. That's usually tied to the principal, so the principal can see where parents are concerned. And then if you turn over the page, you've got the more formal evaluation, where you see like different questions in each of those 7 areas that we talked about. And you just kind of go in and score each principal on those. That would be the job, and then Paul again with us on how that would look. So, and that would be more where it says faculty and staff. That would be all the administrators would do that on us. So, anyway. So that's year 2. Year 3 is a summative evaluation of annual goals. So we do have our principals, and this is when, like Eric can go out and I go out and meet with principals. We're looking at their goals. We're trying to help them achieve their goals. We try to stay focused on their goals and what they're trying to achieve, and we coach them through tightening processes to achieve those goals. Summative evaluation of annual goals to increase student achievement will be conducted by the immediate supervisor. Administrators will be asked to set annual goals for student achievement. Administrators will be asked to reflect on the process of pursuing their goals. This reflection will include actions taken to tighten the PLC process and feedback on student learning. Administrators will record actions and thoughts quarterly. So when we get to that 3rd year, we want to get inside their thinking on how they pursue goals. That's a critical skill set you want out of your leadership, is how do I lead people to achieve goals that we've set. And critical to this year is the process for achieving the goal more than achieving the goal. So we want to get inside their heads of the processes they're using to achieve the goal, how tight are those, because if the processes are right, we believe the learning will take place in the adults and will achieve the goal. So those are the 3 years. You can see kind of the work that we'll put out to them, and that is the proposed process that we're going to use. We've had the principals look at a lot of this. We'll use them to kind of tweak things a little bit as well on the questions that we might ask them in the future. We don't want this to just be something that was created and then we'll move forward. We'll try to revise that as we go. So anyway.
How do you think the principals feel about this? I mean,
I think they'll be great with it. I think it's a really good tool. Sometimes over the years, these evaluations have gotten out of hand where it's just page after page and question after question. You can see these surveys are pretty straightforward, and you can fill one out depending on if you want to do the free response or not in 15 minutes. And I like what's here. You know, you look at it, we've got stakeholder surveys, anonymous stakeholder surveys, number 1. Number 2, your direct supervisor fills out this evaluation, and number 3, we tie it to your student achievement. So it's very comprehensive. We take the 3-year process to make it work. I'm really excited with what Garrick and his team have come up with here. I think it's excellent.
So you asked about really what every teacher is supposed to go through an evaluation every 3 years. Every certified person is supposed to go through an evaluation 3 years. So we just play it out in different years, so it's not all just hit. That's a pretty ineffective evaluation, I think, in other words, we're going to have a purpose each year to continue to build that capacity. So that's where it hits the rules that we play by. Let's stay with.
And then we just, after year 3, go back to year 1, because hopefully you've implemented some changes, and so we'll see that in stakeholder surveys, and I like it.
And really with that learning one, we'll that's an every year thing.
Yeah.
We'll just formalize it in 1 year.
Cool.
Any comments? And by all means, take a minute, and not today exactly, but read through it, and if you have thoughts or feelings on it, send an email. Send an email, copy Garrick and I both on it, and we'd love to hear back from board members if you have thoughts or ideas for it.
How much time do we have for dinner?
Ready.
It's ready?
Decide how you want to eat, if you want to eat in here with the directors, or how you want to do that.
And what's our
We
option?
could probably break bread together.
Yeah, we'll just have to make space for the directors.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't know to say this.
We can go on the other end.
No, let's let them go in the other room. We don't want to-
No, we don't want you to go in the other room. I mean, it's up to the board.
We'll have
We can just eat around the table right here if you want, and kind of keep moving. If we want to make it a working dinner, we can kind of keep moving along a little bit.
Let's move, let's make it a working dinner.